In today's video, I'm going to take you through all of the equipment that I use to take my photos and to take my videos, along with how I take certain pictures for my Instagram and for my blog and things like that, and just everything that I use to produce this content. And I know that this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I personally really love these kinds of videos, and I do get a lot of questions on what camera I use, what equipment I use, what I use to edit my videos and things like that. So I just thought I'd put out this video, and I do find these kinds of videos to be very helpful if you guys are into like photography or videography. So yeah, if you guys are interested, just keep watching. So I'm gonna start off with what I use for photography before I get into what I use to film. So 90% of the pictures on my Instagram are taken with my phone. I have the iPhone 10, and this camera is the best camera I've ever had on any phone. I've had the iPhone since the iPhone 4. Unless you're into photography like as a hobby, or videography as a hobby, or you do it professionally and you make money out of this, I think that your phone is all you need when it comes to documenting and just getting good quality content. You don't need anything fancy. You could get amazing pictures with this phone. If I'm not using my phone, the other camera that I use is my Sony A7R. It's the camera that I'm filming on right now, and it is the camera that I use to take a lot of the pictures on my feed and all of the pictures on my blog. So I really love and recommend this camera, and I've had this camera for like, I want to say three and a half years, maybe 4, I don't even know, and I haven't had a need to upgrade. I eventually probably will upgrade just to like facilitate like these tiny little things here and there that the newer cameras have that this one doesn't. But for the most part, as far as quality, I think that this camera still really performs well. The only con that I have about this camera is that it doesn't have a flip-up screen, so it wouldn't be the best camera for like vlogging and things like that. To film, I have to attach a monitor, and it can be a little annoying, and the lenses could get pricey. Those are the only 2 cons that I have with this camera. And I have 3 lenses for this camera. The one that I have on right now is my Sony Zeiss 24 to 70 millimeter lens. It's the one that I always film with. And the main one that I use to take my pictures is my 85 millimeter lens. And I will link everything that I talk about down below, just in case I don't mention the name or the right specs or whatever. I will link everything down below. This 85 millimeter lens right here is my favorite lens that I've ever owned in my life. It is amazing if you're into fashion photography, if you're into blogging and things like that. It does an excellent job at blurring out the backgrounds. If you guys go on my Instagram, you'll see that I take a lot of pictures of jewelry. It's one of my favorite things to take pictures of. And I find that this camera, while it does give me that like buttery smooth blurred out background, it does a really good job at capturing detail, which is very important if you're taking these kinds of close-up pictures. Everything just comes out so beautiful. I think that this lens is 100% worth it. Obviously, it depends what kind of photography you're into, but almost everybody at one point or another is going to need something like this. It's an excellent portrait lens for photography. I do not use this for videography. The next lens that I have for this camera is the Zeiss 35 millimeter lens, and this is just a basic all-around good lens. I love putting this lens on the camera because it makes the camera so much smaller, and it just makes it fit everywhere. This would be a perfect lens if this camera had like a flip-up screen. I would just pop this on and I would be able to vlog with this, but I can't really vlog with this camera because it doesn't have the flip-up screen. If you guys go on my Instagram, you will notice that the majority of the pictures on my feed are vertical. I really love taking vertical pictures as opposed to horizontal pictures, because I just feel like vertical pictures capture a lot more detail than horizontal pictures. They're just a lot more zoomed in, and you can really manipulate the picture a little bit more when you're cropping and things like that. So to do that, I use something like this, which goes on top of my tripod. The tripod that I have is the Sunpack Ultra 6000 PG. Again, I will link everything down below. I think I got this guy either in Best Buy or Amazon, I don't remember, but I absolutely love this tripod. It's pretty lightweight, but it's very sturdy in my opinion. And I don't remember if it came with this. I think it did. It's the one that you put on top of your tripod, you screw it on, and you place your camera on here. It comes with an attachment that you screw under your camera, and you have the ability to turn your camera. So that's how I get my vertical pictures. The only pictures that I don't take myself are outfit pictures or pictures that are not like in my house and things like that. 90% of the pictures on my Instagram are taken by me, even if I'm in the pictures. If I'm not using my iPhone and plopping it somewhere and using my timer, I mostly use my Sony A7R. So what I love about this camera is that it comes with like a built-in application that you can download, and you can wirelessly connect your phone to your camera, and your phone acts as your viewfinder. So I think the app is called PlayMemories, and I just connect my camera to my phone and I'm able to see myself, and then I just use my phone as my shutter release and it takes the picture. So that is the method that I use to take a lot of the pictures that I'm in on my Instagram. Before I got this camera, before I started using this setting, I would just have an attachment that I attach to my tripod that allows me to plop my phone on there, and then I would connect a little remote to my phone and I would use that as my shutter release, which I don't use anymore, but I will still link it down below because it's a super inexpensive way to kind of, you know, be able to take your own pictures with your phone on your tripod. So I've really been into flash photography lately. I don't use it all of the time, but I throw it in here and there. If you go on my feed, you will see a couple. And what I use for my flash is this Sony flash. I actually got this for free when I bought my camera years ago, and I never really used it until this year, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, you do not need something like this. You can just use the flash on your phone, but if I really want a specific looking photo with a very pitch black background, and I don't know, just very like paparazzi nighttime-esque pictures, then I use this guy. And this thing is so powerful, but you can manipulate the flash. So I can kind of like move this and point the flash to whatever direction I want so that it bounces from wherever I want it to bounce, and or it lights up whatever I want it to light up. So this guy is so cool, so fun. I love using this, and I can't really duplicate the effect that this flash gives me with the flash on my phone. So I love this thing. So now moving into video equipment. As I said, the only camera that I use is my Sony A7R, and the only lens that I use for filming the majority of the time is my 24 to 70 millimeter lens. And I just think that this combination is amazing. It is the only thing that I would really need to get really good quality. Obviously, this camera doesn't have like the flip-up screen, so it's not very good for vlogging and things like that. But as far as quality and how good this lens works with slow motion and things like that, I think that this combination is very good. I'm pretty sure that if you get like the latest version, it's probably gonna be like 10 times better. But I personally, for what I film, I really love this setup. I use Final Cut Pro. I always have this information in my description, but a lot of the times people don't read the description, so that's half of the reason why I'm filming this video. But yeah, I use Final Cut Pro to edit my videos, and in Final Cut Pro you have the ability to like further stabilize your footage. But I find that since this lens has internal stabilization, whenever I'm filming something that's moving, or like a lookbook and I'm moving around and stuff, or you know, somebody's holding the camera freehand and they're not using like a stabilizer or anything like that, I find that this camera does a really good job at stabilizing by itself. Obviously it's not perfect and you're always going to have to like further stabilize things post-production, at least I do, but since it has that first kind of like internal stabilization, it just makes the process so much easier and it makes things come out so much more like professional looking. So that's something to look into if you are into videography and you're looking for a good lens. For my tripod to film, I use the same tripod. I just don't use the roller adapter thing. I just put it on my tripod and it works really well. I have to use an external like, you know, monitor and attach it to my camera because I cannot see if I'm in frame or in focus. And that's one thing that I really wish that this camera had, honestly. For my microphone, I have the Rode mic. I have the one, I think it's the one before the professional one. It's not the best microphone by any means, but it does the job. I do feel like I have to stand pretty close to the camera in order for the mic not to pick up any background noise, but it works pretty well. If you're looking for, you know, a decent microphone that is not going to break your bank, then I definitely recommend this microphone. For my lights, 90% of the time I use natural light. I try to stand in front of my windows, and that's another thing I really love about this camera and this lens. It really picks up a lot of light. But when the lighting fails me, like it is right now, I use some studio lights that I don't really recommend because I don't really love them. I do want to eventually get something easier to set up, something that I could just plop up and it'll just do the job. But these work pretty well. I have them on right now because the lighting is not very good outside. It's super cloudy, it's about to rain. I got these on Amazon, they were fairly inexpensive. The last camera that I'm gonna talk about is actually my newest camera, and it is the GoPro Hero 5. And I have yet to shoot anything on my channel with this. I have used it. I used it when I went to Colorado and it works very, very well. I haven't really messed around with the editing with this footage. I don't know how the slow motion is going to look on this, but as far as quality, I am very, very impressed with the quality of this camera. It's also very easy to use because it has a touchscreen and it's just very, very user-friendly, super, super compact. I can fit this in almost all of my pockets and it's just so easy and so travel-friendly. I love this thing and I definitely recommend it. I do want to get something to stabilize my footage on this. I want to get a gimbal for my GoPro. And speaking of gimbals, the last thing that I'm going to show you guys is this guy right here. This is my Zion Crane gimbal. If you guys don't know what a gimbal is, it's just a stabilizer for your camera, and they have these for just about any camera that you can think of. They have them for the iPhone, for the GoPro, for everything. And this is for a DSLR and it works very, very well. I use this for my lookbooks, or if I'm doing like a tour and I want everything to be very steady. If you guys look at my room tour in my parents' house, I think it's the only room tour that I've ever filmed on this channel, but I used this gimbal with it and it works very well. And what I like about gimbals is that even if you don't get like the best results while using the gimbal, it makes it a lot easier to stabilize post-production. So whatever you use to edit your videos, it probably has like an option where you can stabilize your footage, like if you slow it down or whatever. And if you use a gimbal to begin with, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to stabilize even further post-production. So I think that something like this will really transform the vibe of your videos. I cannot recommend stabilizers enough. Even if you're not very good at editing, I think that having stable footage to begin with is just the best thing that you can do for your videos. So definitely recommend you guys getting something like this. I will link every single thing that I talked about down below. Even if I forgot to mention something, I will link it down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.